Hey, what's going on, y'all? Back with another one. Back with another one. This is the Daily Hump Dump, the 33rd edition. I mean, it's the 33rd edition, man. It's a lot to talk about. Lot to talk about. Yeah, a lot of speculations. They talk about LeBron getting traded, rumors, but they trying to say he's gonna go to LA or whatever, But this is pretty cool. Let's go right at it. Let's go right at it. Lot to talk about. A lot of free agency. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of internet changes, and then you got the southern states banning adult content, but actually they're not banning it. They're actually ain't banning the CP. But I'm not gonna get into the CP content nonsense that they be on. A lot of that's gonna get reversed probably. I think the midterm elections probably when he's out in 2028, but I highly doubt. I mean, Trump might get impeached thanks to Elon Musk. That's over with. I think this um, government that we see, the people that vote for MAGA and all that, it's over. They're divided on him right now. This is just like 2017 all over again. And I have this feeling that the way it's ran and how the election turned out, that lets me know that it's over. The dudes need to just stop hating on the females. I'm trying to tell you, they're gonna try to get y'all up out of here. And the whole purpose is they're trying to do it in a way like they're not playing around. They're not fucking around. See, when you're dealing with people that's unhinged and unbalanced and all that, just be careful. Um, they don't give a fuck about none of us. Like the gender shit to me is fake. That all came from the internet. Like we done won it years ago, but these weirdos, these simps, they done killed the group. See, when KS came around, he kind of fucked it up for everybody. That's why I don't fuck with him and everybody else. That's why you got these bitch ass little boys complaining. That's why you see a lot of murders with females, right? And even on our side too, on two sides, I'm not being biased or whatever. I'm just saying, like, from my observation, that's what I see. And there's no balance really. It's just one way. But what you see is what you get. But in the NBA and summer league, I think it's as decent. Cooper Flag proved what he's got. I'm just saying, like, dude, he's gonna be a thing, but that's to replace Luka Doncic and all that other stuff. I mean, Dallas got a good core to him. I'm so sick of this shit on X. Yeah, Elon Musk is trying to get back on his power again. He's got more money than Trump, and he'll air his ass out. And Ticket TV broke it down. I said, yeah, Ticket, that's gonna be a minute. If you're trying to impeach Trump, do it as soon as you can during midterms. I think. Yeah, she's talking about a coward murder life. Yeah, it don't matter. You bitches love niggas. That's what y'all's problem is. But the whole purpose of me saying all this, it's over. Like a lot of this stuff we see in, southern states, like a lot of Republicans, they sign they waiver. Hey, what's going on, Wacky Shalom? A lot of stuff that you see, um, I think what is the Afro think tank? I was watching this channel. He said they got rid of Medicaid. I ain't on Medicaid, by the way. But the ones that's gonna suffer, he said, it's the so-called white people. The white folks that's in Southern State. Yeah, they're gonna suffer. They're gonna be poor. And I think we mentioned this, like I mentioned that 4 years ago with the other people that I had on my panel at the time. And everybody on different channels, I've noticed in the black sections, they call themselves African, FBA 80s, which is a bunch of nonsense. You ask me. And it's kind of funny that Afro think tank. I watched his channel. He's good for political commentary. That's it. I mean, he sound like SETI and them. That's why I get the vibe from him. But then he said something about they signed a death warrant with the Medicaid. There's some truth to that. And I think, yeah, the reproduction's getting low, and everybody from Europe that's linked towards right wing needs immigration. But people are leaving Europe. He's saying, well, that's been going on for the last, I'll say, about 8 years, even prior to that. But now you start looking at it, if you look at sports and you look at politics, you look at everything that people's come over here, they got to get green cards. The way Trump did with the tariffs around the world, he's doing it in the UK and China. That's going to backfire. That may only work in certain countries, but that ain't gonna work. Everybody's doing business overseas. Been outsourced. It's gone Khalil Salute. Um, I'm looking at this stuff. I mean, the offseason's been good. Summer league has been okay. A lot of talent. I'm looking at sports. I'm looking at people are just shocked that the OKC Thunder won. 2K. They talking about Shea being the state. There is a such thing as a 2K curse. I don't believe in it, but sometimes those guys don't usually win. If we get another parity next year, if they don't go back to back, that's saying something. I blame the Toronto Raptors and Kawhi Leonard, and I'll never forget that year too. And this is why I came back doing content. And I saw that series too. I was going with the Raptors. I knew they was gonna win. Once Kawhi went, they're instant champions. And he's an upgrade. It's a new he don't know nobody. And the teammates he had was Siakam and was it Van Fleet? He got a lot of good and Nick Nurse and all that. That's a good roster. But they didn't think they was gonna be contenders. Now Philadelphia had a chance to beat them. I think they won Game 7 that year. Yeah, against the Raptors, and I'll never forget that. I remember how they won the first round. I saw that whole playoff on both coasts. Now Golden State was automatic dub in the West. The West, Houston tried to get them, it didn't work, and that's when Durant tore his Achilles too. I'll never forget that. That 2019 season, I'll never get. And Draymond said the same thing. What happened to Tyrese Halliburton? Yeah, it had that feel, but this time Siakam was on the opposite team that should have won the championship. Me personally, Tyrese had 9 points. I saw it, saw the whole series. It's disgusting what happened. OKC did deserve the win. I'll tell you this now. They had no business winning the semifinals against Denver, and Denver was a solid team. But here's the thing. They signed 3 of their guys. Chet Holmgren saved them, to be honest. It was a mix of Chet Holmgren, Caruso, and that coach. He understand. Even he switched the lineup. That's saying something. I think that's the standard. When I see in summer league with the talent, everybody's trying to figure out. Well, the biggest weakness for OKC, they're a finesse team. They look physical on the outside, inside, but they're a finesse team. They're not a bruiser team. They're a team that you you could say they get calls, but here's the thing: Shea shoots that mid range. He angles his body, but he knows exactly what he's doing. Now, can they deliver that next year? I believe so. If the West don't stop this team, and OKC figure out something that most West teams haven't figured out. They know how to run you down. If you make a mistake, SGA is going to be it's going to make you pay. I don't believe in the 2K curse that much, but there's a thing or two. Now Tatum was unfortunate. They up and down. Boston was up and down team last year. Um, man, that's a hell of a team. And I'm looking back at these. And then Bradley Beal, yeah, he just got bought out by the Clippers. So it's gonna be a very interesting season. I mean, my Pistons, man, they're gonna be something. It's gonna be very interesting. The East, I already know it's at least 4 teams. Like I said, it's wide open. It's wide open on the West. It's no guarantee OKC go back to back because the pressure is can they do it again? It's gonna be up to SGA and Chet and a combination of J Dub and that coach. Them 4 people right there I just mentioned, and the bench of Caruso to go back to back. They got their guys. If they win, let's just say if they get 70 wins, they may not get 70 wins, right? They may get more than that. Yeah, he's gonna be good for the Spurs, is what I said. Yeah, he's gonna be good for the Spurs. I've been watching him summer league. That boy is amazing. Him and Cooper Flag is gonna be interesting. And then Texas, I'm gonna speak about Texas in a minute about that governor. He didn't give a damn about those people. And the NBA and the civilians that didn't vote the other way or voted the way of Trump, and nobody felt sorry for him. And I think Afro Think Thing broke it down on the video I saw him saying, no sympathy. And that just goes to show you where we at today in the country. So you know how it is. Yeah, they have a good chance with future with Fox. Yeah, they do. They very I believe that. They're a future team. They're gonna be destructive. It's gonna be them in Dallas and a mix of OKC. It's gonna be very interesting in Denver too. And Shea's one of the few players in the NBA right now who has the mid-range game. And look how he killed the league. Yeah, he did. That's what's gonna give you a championship. If he does, okay. The Pacers team, a lot of people said they weren't supposed to be in the finals. Well, here's why they wasn't supposed to be in the finals. One, um, that first round, I knew they was gonna beat Milwaukee. Cleveland had the easiest road, but here's the thing: they did not want to play Indiana. and Indiana always got everybody's number. Donovan Mitchell had 61 teams when he was in Utah. And I remember he got coaches fired. A lot of people say he didn't get coaches fired. And Ticket always break this down. These players get these coaches fired. They ain't like what in the old days. And it's true. And Donovan Mitchell did. And I told him in his chat, and I told people on his platform, they ain't going to win no championship, not with Donovan Mitchell. Cleveland's going to have to start over and find a real star that's going to take them there. They need a little experience. They don't need LeBron. They don't need nothing. They need somebody similar to, I would say Shea's a good example for a style. You want his style of play, but a Tatum, since he's down and injured, you need somebody that won multiple or at least a championship. Now, Cleveland's in a interesting spot. They can do something this year. Now, if Donovan does grow into we see a final, yeah, we could see them in OKC. It's wide open for them. If they don't do nothing this year, it's over for that team. That team may blow it up. Because I already see Milwaukee has a shot because you got Giannis. They're in the same division, right? In the Central Division, Eastern Conference, right? So you got Milwaukee. I call them Believeland, Cleveland, right? And then you got Chicago. Chicago's up and coming. They're looking good too. That Mazelis kid, that Lithuanian American kid, he's doing damage. Him and someone called him the Giller. Too wrong called him the Giller. And who else? The Pacers may be mediocre this year because they missing Halliburton. So yeah. And Detroit. I forgot. Detroit's in that division too. So it's really like this: Milwaukee, Detroit, probably Cleveland. Indiana's gonna be on the bottom this year because they ain't gonna win no games. They might win some few games. But if Chicago does good, keep in mind, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Chicago, and Detroit, those are going to be the teams who will probably take up those spots. You still got the Knicks. I don't trust the Sixers. They're injury prone. Embiid has to be super healthy to them to win. Washington may do something, but Atlanta has it wide open right now because they got Porzingis and things like that. But Orlando's pretty good too. So it's going to be really Orlando, Atlanta, probably New York, Detroit, Milwaukee, and that's it. But Chicago might fight for a play-in, or they may improve this year. See, the East is up and down. The West is up and down too, but the favorite to me, the four teams in the West, me personally, is really OKC, Denver, probably who else? I can't say the Lakers. Lakers are mid-tier right now. They dealing with LeBron and those rumors. The only team I see him go, since he built a house in LA, he may go to the Clippers. I heard he say he's gonna go to the Mavs. I heard Ticket said that. He said that before too. We gotta see. I gotta see how LeBron does. His podcast is okay. It ain't the best, but it's okay. I mean, everybody's hounding LeBron right now. I don't care for him, but the steroid allegations, he gotta address that. If he don't address that, something there. So I can't really speak on LeBron. I'm just gonna let the LBDBC speak on it because I want them to see what happened to LeBron. Because he's at the tail end of his career. Now, this may be his last year. We don't know if he's not gonna retire or not. So it's up to him. But him and Rich Paul, they ain't looking good online because they hounding him. So the West, to me, yeah, it's OKC. It looks like Denver because they got Bruce Brown back. Who else? I say Dallas may have a shot. They may not win this year, but they got San Antonio. If they do well, if San Antonio do well, it's gonna be them in Minnesota, probably Houston. Damn, it's probably top 16. I could say Houston's in the top 3, adding Durant, but he ain't the same player. We gotta see if he's gonna stay healthy. Shit, you got damn. Utah may do good this year. We don't know. The West is up and down to me because we got to see who's really doing well. We already know the top 2 is Denver and OKC. Probably Houston 3. 4, I gotta say Dallas. 5, San Antonio. And I have to throw San Antonio because Wemby's cleared to play now. The Spurs cleared him to play with those blood clots in his arm. It's gonna be very interesting. The West is, man. If OKC, if they do go back to back, they gotta play. They have to have an easy road. Now the officiating, they let them play physical, but I don't think it's gonna be easy though, because I think Shea's gonna have to do the unbelievable. He gotta do what he did this past playoff this year, and it's gonna be last year according to this new year in 2026. He's gonna have to have another MVP game because Jokic is trying to fight him for that. Think about it. See, Denver and OKC are in the same Northwest Division of Western Conference before they added a Charlotte team or a New Orleans team. That's why you got 30 teams. Because the Hornets, what you see today, they're the original Bobcats. Pelicans are the original Charlotte Hornets. I've been watching videos of B-ball explaining the history. Everybody know their little history on the NBA, like I did. I've been knowing and reading about them for years and years, and watch and observe and whatever. But these channels, they're good because they teach you how they formulate stuff like that. I've mentioned that before on live streams and things like that. It's just one of those things, man. Like, if you look at what's going on in pro sports and everything, politics, and Trump and all this stuff, we ain't gonna talk about the fake holy land, the actual land. It's really our land. But those people over there, the Medomites, right? Is Trump did something very interesting, but now they want him up out of there, But it goes to show you it's a repeat of history. You get what you vote for, you get what you pay for, and you got to understand that this stuff is nothing to play with. So we got to understand the world is different now. It's very different. But I'm just looking at it right while we're saying, but it's a lot of stuff going on. I've been paying attention what's going on the internet and how people are divided on certain issues, even offline. The world, where I'm at is decent. Everybody's being normal and things like that. And that's just how it is. But you look at these factors and what's going on lately. But shouts out to APTV, man. He's been killing it with the stuff that I've been posting and sharing, and this man is on fire, bro. He be cooking old boy. Old boy is finished, bro. He's food. It's really look at this stuff like and he got someone claim they married. Girl, you a whore, bro. You ain't married. I don't believe half of these hoes lie about who they are, bro. Especially on the internet. X has been a disaster. Ain't nothing but adult content 101. Yeah. And that's just what it is. And I just look at it for what it is. And that's just one thing about sports I look at now. That's why I've been paying attention to summer league and things like that. The draft has been interesting. This draft is probably the interesting draft of all time. Second round was good, but I've been watching all ball TV. I think all season or during the playoffs when the Knicks fans got mad when they got eliminated by the Pacers. That shot's gonna haunt them forever. And Rich Eisen broke it down. Yeah, you can't say Tyrese Halliburton ain't overrated. Now, some people may think he is, but I don't think he is. That boy is good. He'll wear you down and stuff like that. But that Achilles, that's gonna be interesting how he's gonna come back and adjust this game. That's gonna be, and he's young too. How he had it. He was 25, and I think it's the low tops. They don't do a lot of toe raises. When I was coming up and doing sports, especially basketball, you do a lot of toe raises and calf raises and all that. And KG broke it down. You got to rest your calves. They're your breaks. They're part of your Achilles and your tendon, right? And close to the ankle, whatever, right? You're going to have to do that. And you're going to use them in your whole game. Legs is the name of the game in basketball. If you don't take care of your legs, it's over. The only person that won't be the same will probably be Dame. And I agree with Two Raw. He said he won't be the same. He definitely, and he's older too. He's almost close to 40, but he's not. He's in his 30s. But man, Dame is done. I think Dame will probably be done. And Tatum is 27. He may come back, but he won't be the same. He'll be like Kevin Durant. Because if you look at their frame, I can say he'll be a shooter. He won't drive like he used to now. Tyrese may not drive, but his thing about Tyrese, he passes the ball around. He gets his points whenever. So it's gonna be very interesting with them too. I would say Tatum and Halliburton is gonna be interesting because they were young when they had theirs ruptured, and the other one Dame is older. His career is over, and he's too little for a guard. I think he's 6'2", 6'3", but he's little compared to people that's around my height and above. Oh man, that's tough. That's tough. They'll miss a whole year, but it's gonna be very tough for them to come back because it's gonna be very interesting. If out of the three, if one of them is successful, I'll say the youngest person has got to be Tyrese. He's gonna have to do something. His shot don't need to change. He follows the ball. It works for him. Everybody shoots funny when you're in the NBA, and they tweak it a little bit like Lonzo Ball. But the ones that had the funny shots, they're known stuff to go in. But man, them paces is gonna be very interesting in the future. They building around, but their whole ecosystem they move the ball around. But that finals is very interesting. I had them winning the championship. I was rooting for them to win, even though I like OKC though. I love the team. I just didn't trust the inexperience of the young team. But I think Caruso figured out the things he learned from LeBron and others. He had to win that championship to show I already won one. He's the only veteran they got. And so they signed Hardenstein. OKC signed Hardenstein and those players, the same people. Sam Presti's for real now. Okay, now Sam came, and I just found out Sam came from the Spurs system. See, he knows something. I like Sam Presti. That team, if they don't win back to back, but if they win one the year after, they're more like the Spurs. I would say in comparison, if they don't win back to back. But if they do win back to back, now we're talking about a team that has a little dynasty. They got all that cap space, all that money for draft picks. We're talking about a small market that could be a mini. I wouldn't say a big dynasty, but a mini dynasty or a short-lived uh dynasty, whatever you want to call it. That little frame. It's gonna be very interesting, and I think Adam wants that. So since they're gonna add Vegas and Seattle, it's gonna be very interesting. He said, "Got Dame, got a little bit more." That's it. I hope so. I mean, he's got a shot. I say he got a 3-point shot, but that drive, like he goes to the basket, that's gonna affect him. Yeah, they both gonna take entire season off. They both got the surgeries. Um, it's gonna be very interesting how they gonna adjust to the game. Them two right there is the most important. But when it comes to Dame, he's gonna be telling. It's gonna be very telling. I don't know who they trained is gonna be for those injuries. I think Aaron Rodgers, we gotta see how he plays because he came from Achilles from the Jets. I think he did decent, but he had like a good certain. They mentioned on Pat McAfee show, and I said he's very yeah. This is gonna be very very. They have a chance. They have a chance. It's just KD got to be healthy. They got to be healthy. Houston has a chance. They just got to be healthy. My thing is Ime Doka's good. I trust him to upset OKC or any team in the West right now, them or Denver. But Denver is going to be tough because Denver they got Bruce Brown back. The West is a toss up to me. If OKC does not win back to back, like I said, it's going to be Denver or Houston. That's your top three right there. And then after that, you got Minnesota, you got the Clippers. Yes, you may have the Lakers. Probably they'll be a playoff team because they got Luca. It's gonna be very interesting. The Lakers, I don't know if Luca plays well with this lob threat. What's his name, DeAndre Ayton? Because I can't talk about much about the Lakers because I know my dad's a Lakers fan. He keeps up with it. They got to do something with LeBron, even though they're gonna let him play his full season. Whatever. We got to see what the Lakers gonna do. But they're in there. Several other teams in the West in there, but San Antonio's up there. They should be a playoff team. Probably 8 seed or whatever. But Memphis, they may bounce back. The West is just like, damn, it's just so random. But I got Houston beating all those other teams. If Durant stays healthy, they'll be a good team. They'll be tough to stop. And I think Ime Doka's gonna figure that out, his minutes and things like that. That's gonna the only teams they gotta have to worry about is Denver and OKC. Everybody else they can beat. Houston has a good enough team. They got rid of Brooks and Green, which they did good in the game 7 and he had like 30 something points in the other game. I saw that series, but Green is inconsistent. So they had to get him up out of that ship to Phoenix. Phoenix is gonna be, I'll say Phoenix is a playoff team. They just got rid of Bradley Beal in a buyout. I think the Clippers bought him out and gave him a 2-year contract. So man, it's gonna be interesting. That West is gonna be huge. They need to fire JJ Ray. I agree. Ticket said the same thing. He said the same thing. Ticket TV said the same thing, and I agree. Yeah, the Lakers gonna have to fire JJ Redick if he doesn't win this year. I think that new owner did the right thing, not budging to LeBron and Rich Paul. Every Laker fan does not like him right now, even online, offline, even publicly. They do not. They want LeBron James gone. I've been watching Dreamers Pro channel. I've been subscribing. He's talking about him and Two Raw. They be talking about LeBron a lot, and they said them Laker fans are tired. And Ticket TV, they be dropping content. I've been busy watching them and doing my thing outside about the sports and things like that. But man, it's very telling where the league is going to go. So OKC is going to have to. I don't know if they have to win 70 games to repeat, which is rare. Man, they got that. I'm just thinking about it. OKC, Denver, Houston. That's your top three going this season. If they do good this year, shit. I mean, the West is damn. It's only three. The best. I'm talking about the best now. Now everybody else is good in the West. Don't get me wrong. The West is loaded, but people overrate them so much. They're beatable. Everybody's beatable. But it's just like Shate's gonna have to have one of them seasons, man. Like this season he did good, but this next coming up season he gonna have to have something. Since you got a championship, him and J Dub, they're gonna have to play extremely well. And Chet's gonna have one of those games. He gonna have to drop 20 points. If I was Chet, work on your defense, don't dribble so much, be a factor. And yeah, they got hard stuff, but the guy that they drafted in the first round for the Thunder, he's a great pickup. He does that what Hardstar don't do. He he's a lob threat. He plays defense. I forget his name, but he's pretty good. I think he went. I don't know if he went to Duke, and I forget he was the 15th overall pick, and that's a good pickup by OKC. They got some guys that can play. When them guys can play, they can play. You know, I saw they summer league team, and some of them's going to be on the team's roster. It's going to be very interesting what OKC's got going on. And I just like saying, man, the teams that can beat them, I gotta say OKC and Denver. They're the only two that can match them. Everybody else is just like a cakewalk to them. You know what I mean? But if Minnesota improved this year and they had some pieces, it's the West is just like loaded. But the only top three I know that can match OKC, you already know, is Denver and Houston. But we got to see. But the East, I just saw a video from some random YouTuber. He said everybody fears the Hawks. Well, that's because of Porzingis and things like that. They got depth, but the Hawks gonna have to prove something in the playoffs. The most proven team in the playoffs to me is the Pacers, the Bucks, probably the Miami Heat, Cleveland, New York. You got to get past those. Those are teams to look for. The Hawks gonna have to be able to be, and they have to have a good season. And if they do, they had a good all season. But if they do good and it translates, if Porzingis stays healthy, like I said with Durant, if he stays healthy, they're dangerous to beat. Not only that, the coaching is good. He came from a Spurs. His name is Quinn Snyder. That Spurs tree is real. I believe that. And Sam Presti is a great example of that. So these teams are trying to gear up to be OKC. Indiana came up short. We'll see what they're gonna do. It's gonna be a lot of trades before the season, then after before the All-Star break, probably, and then there they are. And that's gonna determine your playoffs. So it's gonna be very interesting. Now, Jaden Ivey, the Pistons will be back. The Pistons will be in the playoffs as well. They're gonna go further because it's wide open. I still got my Pistons though. The Bulls are gonna be very interesting. Orlando's gonna be interesting, but Atlanta, man, like a lot of people need to stop stretching Atlanta. Just leave the Hawks alone. Hawks good. Now, Trae Young did take them to the conference finals during the pandemic 2021, but if he does it with this Porzingis guy, right? And Porzingis do something good and they do go to the finals, it may be a Hawk or Thunder. We don't know. But the East could be anybody. It could be the Knicks versus the Thunder. It could be anybody. It could be who else? Knicks, Thunder, Bucks. I say Giannis may go again. Me personally, Miles Turner did what he did with the Pacers. I believe the Bucks can. Now Giannis better not trip. Now if he decide to want to leave, Shame on Giannis. They would say, right? I ain't gonna say shame, but hey, you get your money. You feel like most. He said most Europeans, them big markets. This is when they said about. He's talking about the Luka trade and LeBron this year. He said that he loved to see him go in big markets. Well, you may get your chance. Yeah, they made a big mistake firing Mike Malone as a coach. But here's the things. They got that same coach that was under Mike Malone. Now they kept him Alderman, but it's gonna be very interesting what he's gonna do further. Denver, like it's got Jokic. He's that whole glue offense. Now he got Mike Malone fired. I heard this from Ticket. There's some truth to that. Jokic might go, and I heard rumors he may go to the Lakers. But the thing is, they got to get rid of LeBron and JJ Redick. We got to see what because everybody's gonna talk about the Lakers all through the regular season. ESPN, you know how they're gonna be. A lot of Lakers fans never wanted LeBron to go to the Lakers to begin with. Remember how the Laker fans in LA was mad once they heard that LeBron signed with LA. Yeah, that's true. And Ticket mentioned that too. And I think Dreamer Short mentioned, and they also Palinka had something to do with that too. I blame him for that, even though he's a Kobe guy, but Kobe would never let that happen if he was alive. Even though well, actually take it back. Kobe did let that happen in a mix of Palinka. And I think I don't know what it is, championship or something. Lakers is it's not one of my favorite franchises, but when I researched the Lakers they used to be the Detroit Gems. They used to be Minneapolis Lakers, but their history is steep with great talent. Will Chamberlain brought them into prominence in the 70s. Magic's Lakers were the best to me. Even though the 21st century, I think Kobe's Lakers were better suited, but I didn't think he was going to get two at the time. I'm not a Kobe guy, but Kobe showed that he was great. Now that everybody's shitting on Kobe, you can go watch Dreamers Pro, and he said he's a Kobe guy too. They shitting on Kobe out of the top 10 with the Bleacher Report, which I disagree with Bleacher Report. Kobe's 5 and 10 all day. He's in my top 5 greatest players of all time, minus the conviction case and why he didn't get the MVPs. There's a reason why they were biased, and this is people just didn't like Kobe. Period. In his early years in LA and in this century. It's been going on forever. A lot of people just didn't like the Lakers at the time. I mean, they did because of Magic. Now, if you're a Kobe guy, it took a while for people to love Kobe. Now, the real Laker fans, they love Kobe. But outside of non-Laker fans, they didn't like Kobe until he started winning the last 2 championships. And that's when you see the love. I respect Kobe through all the 5 championships. I'm not a big Kobe guy, but I give him his props. That man is great. And he did it. I don't care what nobody say. On this channel, I'm going to let you know he's great. I've seen it. Good and the bad. The man got an Oscar. It's hard to hate that. And it's sad how he went out during the pandemic. He can't even defend himself. And he's already Hall of Famer. It's just like, it's a shame. People just hating. And Jeff T saying dumb shit. Him and Gilbert Arenas bums. And he married that Melly Monaco chick off of YouTube. He need to go sit down there and tend to her. What a bum, man. Javaris Curtin would have knocked his head off, man, with that gun, bro. That's how you got, and Javaris Curtin, he's out of prison now. He's doing podcasts, whatever. They done squash or whatever, but it was about the Merck Guild, man. Years ago. It takes Kwame Brown to talk about it. He know what happened because they were all on the Wizards. That shit was wild, man. Porzingis need to stay healthy, and Atlanta need to pick up another great player. Yeah, that's what they need in order to them to be a good team. Yes, and if the Hawks don't get better within the next 2 years, then Trae Young will be out. Yeah, facts. Yeah, he'll be out. He'll be out. And I was saying that, man. Like, man, y'all can't say that. You gotta grow your team. It was George Mikan who brought the Lakers into the greatness when they were still in Minneapolis. Right, he was. But if you research it before they had Mike and if you look up Detroit Gems, that's the Lakers. And that was before Mike and Hottie was in NBL and they I think the owners bought them and they went to Minneapolis. How they got George Michael was very interesting. Before they had the 3 seconds in the key call, he was the father of that. Before there was Wilt Chamberlain, it was him. The game was not played with 3 seconds in the key. A lot of these rules were added later on. When Mikan left or whatever, they added that rule. When he was during playing, he found a ways to alter his game. He stayed in the paint a lot. They was trying to go against him just like Chamberlain, and then they had to widen the lanes because of Chamberlain. So when you look from the 40s and on up, basketball before NBA, shit, it was a wild, wild west. Now they structure it when the league merged in 49, yeah, they were the first dynasty. Someone said that on Ticket TV. Yeah, the Lakers were. That didn't last too long until they got Bill Russell, the Celtics. They stole Bill Russell. I'll say that, are back in the ownership. But at the time, Bill Russell explained it in the interview. He said St. Louis was racist. If they would have kept him, yeah, they would have won championships. But here's the thing. He knew about racism back then. So Boston was a better fit in their minds. And yeah, he ended up with 11 championships. You see his career and all that stuff. And Wilt, he was a stat guy. He was a stat stuffer. That man was great. That's why he got a lot of great records. A lot of records ain't been broken. Hell, Two Raw talk about, I talk about, there's a channel called Wilt Chambers Archive. It is hell to break. Man, I think LeBron broke a few, other players broke a few, but he's got so many fucking records. This ain't fun. That's why I put him number one for Jordan, if you want to talk about all time. Now, if you want to go by the media's way, let's remove Wilt. Let's put Mike. Then I got Magic, probably Kobe and Kareem, and then probably Russell, if you're going by championships or whatever. That's a fantasy list that I've made up, but the one I got is different. And it's I might do that one day. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna do a stream. I may mention that. But that's what I believe. But everybody's got view. They say Mike is great. It ain't nothing wrong with that. And I ain't gonna dispute you on that because I understand why. Because most people grew up watching Mike anyway. And the ones that did not, the other ones that did not, man, he was lethal. But that goes to show you. Yeah, they was. Yeah, you can look up. You can look at that on the wiki. They have it on certain channels I'll be watching. They start as the gyms explain it. I think B-Ball explains about that. It's a lot of channels explain. Just Hoops talk about they were the Detroit Gems and all that. You can type in the history of them, how they explain it. And Mike, and they got him later on when they went to Minneapolis by some owners. I forget their names, but that's the Lakers culture, But if you look back at it, I say they was about to be defunct as the Gems, but I said, no. Let's go to Minneapolis. And they got successful championships. I think they won one in a different league in the NBL too. They technically, y'all already got 18 championships, but y'all got 17 in the NBA when it merged. But you got one in the NBL. If you want to talk about league championships, they still got 18. But Boston's got mostly 18 championships based off the NBA, ahead of the Lakers, right? But actually, y'all kind of tied in a way because if you want to count the Rochester Seagrams / Royals, aka Sacramento Kings, they already won one in the NBA. That was in 1951, and they won one in another league in the NBL in 1946. So the NBA absorbed NBL and BAA in 49, right? They already got 2 championships league total. But if you want to count NBA championships, yes, Sacramento's got 1. But technically, they got 2 league-wise. They got championships in another pro sport. They start out as a semi-pro team known as the Seagrams back in 1923. And they didn't get into the NBL till later in the 40s. So the Pistons that you see today, that was by a guy in Fort Wayne Pistons, Zollner, that had the automobile stuff, because Indiana's a car state similar to Michigan. And that's how you got the Zollner Pistons. And then later they dropped that name. They became the Fort Wayne Pistons. I used to read about this when I used to say NBA Live 98 and then library books and shit like that. But then you got people that got channels that talk about this shit. I said that makes sense. And then they stuck and they went to Detroit back in 1957. And I think my dad was a teenager at the time when he known them as the Detroit Pistons. Prior to that, they were the Fort Wayne Pistons. That was an Indiana small town. So yeah, they got a lot of history. And they're rivals with the Lakers too, way back then when they were the Detroit Gems and they were the Fort Wayne Pistons. So that's a whole nother story on that. They were an NBL team too and / BAA team. So I tell you, the NBA is something else. It emerged so many times, about 5 or 6, 8 times. It's ridiculous. And technically, Indiana's got 3 in the ABA. That's league wise, but they have no championships in the NBA. They're looking for their first NBA title in this modern league. Just like NFL, all teams have championships in different leagues, but the modern NFL go by what? Super Bowls, right? Bowls, right? Okay. It's like that. NBA is the same way. They just don't promote it enough. So that's a whole nother stuff. OKC's got their versatile in OKC, even though they're Seattle. That's gonna be interesting if they bring the Sonics back. Very interesting. That retcon shit. If they want to go by that, fine. We already know. It's crazy. Yeah, 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 yeah. The Gems ain't no joke, man. Like that Lakers is that I see why they're a big brand, and whoever bought them from Detroit and moved them to Minneapolis was genius. And I tell you, man, and some teams just curse. They just can't win. Like the Clippers, for example. They used to be the Buffalo Braves. But that Donald Sterling moving to LA kind of hurt them. That hurt them. That hurt them. I believe they would have been great. These teams, man, they're not made to be great for a reason. You just gotta have the great players and luck and GM and ownership to give a damn. It's like, by God, like you gotta really care about this stuff. But I think the NBA is in a good place. I mean, you got talent, people come overseas, and they say, "Oh, this is bad for the league." No, this is what the league wanted. This is what Adam Silver wanted. He wanted a league full of guys to compete, and just the summer league is just showing you that's who we are, and that's that. But when I look back at it now, I'm glad I live in the era where Mike dominated. I just saw forgotten profiles from. He's talking about a YouTube channel called Forgotten Pros. He talked about all these players, what happened to role players, former All Star players like Charles Oakley and all like that. That was an hour video. When I saw that shit, I said, "Whoa, he did a good job on Oak Tree." Something I already knew, but he went in depth on his Virginia Union. I like that when he talking about the experience and come back. That channel is something else, bro. That's the most interesting channels that you can get on the NBA. So he talks about football too. Does his history on that. And those channels are rare. You don't see that on YouTube. And I think the AI generated stuff is bad. It's actually bad content. And I think YouTube's deleting those channels. I heard that from a guy that does video game stuff, and he talked about Xbox is dominant, which it is. Most of them niggas that be playing 2K and Madden, PlayStation ain't thriving like that, like people think. Them dudes is buying Xbox games because those studios that Phil Spencer did a couple years back, like 6, 7 years ago, that helped Xbox. They're not hurting money wise. They're not hurting. They cut 9,000 studios. I don't mean nothing. They still thriving. I forget the name of the channel that said that. Xbox is still standard in America. They're not good in Japan, but ever since Apple bought Sony, they went down. I can tell you that much. That's why I don't have a Sony right now. It's in the cloud. I got a PS4. That's it. But I ain't play that in a minute. I stopped purchasing that shit years ago. Yeah, it's like that. They can't stand Adam Silver. He be fucking up, man. And they probably booed him because that finals was going degenerate. Them NBA finals, I don't think it was. To me, I think it was entertaining when they had a game 7. Did it look boring? Yeah, the officiating, bad officiating calls on all games each. But whoever won those games was bad officiating. Scott Foster gave him the game, and he kind of saved. He actually saved OKC, but he didn't want to save him because he got hit in the face with J Dub in that Minnesota game when his nose started bleeding. I remember that series. That's it, man. It got physical, and the refs let him play physical too. I don't think Adam cares. He just want the money at this point. Him and LeBron, they want that money. But since LeBron's not in the finals, a lot of people was upset too. You got your LeBron fans and you got your um, typical NBA fans, and they have a right to boo at Adam because Adam did some weird stuff with the in season tournament. He did something with the play in, but that's all comes from LeBron, right? I think there's a channel, white guy. He's a Knicks fan. His name is Basketball Stories. He talked about it too. I watch different channels that talk about this stuff, and then the ones that's Jordan heads. Shouts out to him. Sports and fitness. That dude's hilarious, and I know he's from New York too. And I think he's Dominican. I don't know what his nationality is, but he be on there with the dude with the with angry hoops. Them people are hilarious. But he gave respect to the Will Chamberlain's archive. That's a great channel to learn about not just Chamberlain, but the history of the game. And they talked about Dolph Shays, and then JJ Redick said the dumbest shit. He said, "Oh, I beat Dolph Shays' ass." No, you wouldn't. Not in the style of rules they was playing. In the 50s, there was no 3-point line. He was a set shooter, but he angled it with his left hand. Yeah, he was right-handed, started out, but he could be ambidextrous with his left. Man's a beast, man. Yeah, he did. He destroyed the league. Everybody can't stand Adam Silver. Ticket and everybody. They've been talking about him for the last couple of years, man. I cater to fucking Steph and LeBron, but Steph didn't destroy it. He kind of made it a little better, but the league was destroyed, man. But that 3-point shooting with Steph, that kind of changed the game. Everybody's got, you got to shoot threes now. That ain't gonna help you. That's why a lot of people get calves injuries and Achilles injuries. A lot of it is they don't do a lot of calf raises. And Kevin Garnett said they don't even practice after games. They don't. They don't even practice no more. They don't even practice before they go to the next round, just like playoffs and regular season. That's crazy. That's why you get a lot of injuries. And a lot of these people that you see today, like Halliburton's and all the way to, I will say, after Kyrie Irving, they all came from AAU. Even the ball boys, AAU. You can see their old highlights when they was in AAU. James Harden a little bit, AAU. He wasn't a playground player. Yeah, he was organized, but he came from AAU. Kyrie a little bit, but he went to school and learned on the street ball handles. He always had different layers of basketball and other sports. Mikal Bridges played different sports in high school and all that. But here's the thing: he didn't go to no AAU teams. He probably went a few, but not a lot. Because AAU teams, we used to beat the hell out of them growing up. Now they got the oversight of the league and the families. It's gotten terrible, and they work them to death and don't rest them. It starts in the youth. It starts in the youth. That's why you see a lot of injuries today, and a lot of injuries have harmed a lot of players, and that's why you see a lot, and they just can't get healthy, and they lay off the bad stuff, and sometimes they party and drink. That's too. It's a combination of a lot of things. Messing with these hoes out here, they don't care nothing about you, and that's gonna remain that way forever. And they get online and say they married, which they not. They effing fuck different layers of people. So you know what type of stuff that you're talking about, you know. But the league has changed a lot. It's super finesse. You're gonna see a lot of injuries. You got a finesse team. The best finesse team that's a little bit physical and finesse is OKC, and they're physical on the back end, but soft on top. Because Hardenstein, he's got that soft touch. But here's the thing: you don't have to be physical in the front court no more, like it was in the '90s with Charles Oakley and the mix of Rodman and those guys from all the way back in the '40s. See, JJ Redick don't understand. He wouldn't even last in every era because the way he disrespected Dolph Shays on the somebody from the Wilt Chamberlain's archive channel explained that about what he'll do to Dolph Shays is crazy to me. Dolph Shays was a great player in the 50s. After that, you got other great players better than him over time. He's top 20 to top 25 of all time to me personally. And his son, Danny Shays, didn't do good. He used to play for the Magic and several other teams. They ran him up out of there. But the dad was part of the 50 greatest players of all time. I remember as a kid, they showed Dolph Shays and his jack and all that. He was part of that lineup. He was part of that lineup. Hey, salute APTV, salute, man. And yeah, man, it goes to show you that JJ Redick and all these other idiots that these young players they hate old players. And I grew up reading about, watching old film when I was like 12 years old in the 2000s, learning about the greats back then and black players too. That shows you the league has gotten older and it's reaching almost 100 years. And players are gonna be forgetting, but thank goodness you got sites like YouTube and other sites and there's more sites to show their greatness and you get to see these films, right? But Jordan, that's forever. The youth love Jordan more because he impacted the game, but he had a mid-range game. Jordan wasn't a three-point shooter; he was clutch. But Jordan moved the ball around. He realized that Detroit was in the way, and Bill Laimbeer said it best. Once he figured that out, he was able to beat everybody. He overcome, but he able to defeat the opponents that you see. And now Charles Barkley knows his place. Now he's not what he used to. Yeah, he was hurt by that loss of that championship. He had a chance to win that. It was him, Patrick, all them guys in the 90s had a chance to win that. It's just Mike's presence alone and that team that Mike had in 93. They wasn't the best team in the league at the time. We talking about 93, they were a 50-win team, but they were a 60-win team 2 years straight. That's a great team, those first 2 years. But that year they got a championship, I would say weeks out of their 60 to 70 win totals of the last couple of those years. The first 2 years, the third year, not so much. And then when he had that empty year in 94 and then 95, he came back a halfway in the season. But that 96 through 98, 60 wins. It's incredible. That shows you how great Mike is. And he figured it out. Like, once you add Rodman, they went great. Before Rodman, they was like 60 wins, and then they had a 50 win, let's say third season to go for a three-peat. And that shows you how significant Mike was. And I saw the first, well, actually, I'll say the first three. I saw the championship rounds. I was too young in the first year. In the second year, yeah, he beat Clyde. But that third year, I did see half of the playoffs. That's when I got introduced when I was 5 at the time. And then when I fast forward, I saw Elijah on the years the Knicks lost, and especially the back-to-back, and then Shaq. That's why I didn't know what that was when I was young. But when I got older, I said, damn, he did Shaq dirty. And then I look back at it now when they did that interview with 30 for 30 with the Magic. I know why. And then Nick Anderson choked on them free throws, and I'll never forget that too. And he said something like this: there was no dog, no bite. And that fucked with him for years and years. And Nick Anderson been right since. Everybody tries to say, oh, Nick Anderson wasn't the problem. No, he ain't been right since. Salute, Lonzo, salute. And it's just crazy. It goes to show you. Hold on for a minute. Yeah. But that just goes to show you what time it is. And we understand that those finals were tough, and then people want to disrespect the legends like they do now. But JD Redick, he's just an idiot, man. He ain't no savant. He ain't won nothing. Of course, he's gonna talk bad about the legends of the 50s and all the way down to the 80s and 90s. But the 40s was the predate how physical basketball was. A lot of changes, a lot of time. That means we're getting older. I learned to deal with that, and I was just like, man, these youngsters have no idea. If they was around them days, they wouldn't be saying that shit. They'll harm and they'll bludgeon the team they'll bludgeon the person if he would say that in front of them. Hell, Chamberlain punched a lot of guys too. And they punched him and he punched back. So it's a rough league. It's a rough time. So the standard is that's just what these teams are. So you know how that is. It wouldn't have been a sweep. Facts. True. Yeah, it'd have been a tough series, but Nick Anderson, the way he missed them free throws, and when I saw that documentary, they talked about the Magic at the time, and I saw highlights of it again when I was a little older in this century, probably the 2000s and all that. Even then, it just goes to show you that Nick let it get to him. You know what I mean? But Elijah won that effect that he had on that finals. Even they won the previous year against the Knicks. They were the 6th seed when they swept them too. And then Magic was the favorite in that series. And they were a young team. And that bothers Shaq to this day. It don't bother him as much, but it bothers him today. That was the championship he would have won. It was 95. And that fucked with Shaq for like 6 years before he did it with Kobe Bryant and Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson was the difference why they won. I'll tell you why they won those championships. It was Phil Jackson. Is Phil Jackson a great X and O's coach? Not so much, but is he a great chemistry coach? There's a difference between an X and O and a chemistry coach. An X and O's coach that's like a hybrid. What you got now? You got a Carlisle's, yeah, you got your Rileys, you got all types of people way back in the day. They're all great X and O's coaches, like a JB Bickerstaff, for example, Quinn Snyder. You got so many. But a chemistry coach, me personally, I gotta say Steve Kerr for one. Probably Phil Jackson, even though they had the stars, but he gave them a few plays there and there, and then he let the players have their own freedom to make their own plays. That's what make him good. And Red Auerbach, excuse me, Red Auerbach's a great chemistry coach. I don't view him as X and O's, but he gave you basic fundamentals. He may not be fancy in coaching, but his style that he had Russell and them guys, I see why people like Red Auerbach. Now, I ain't saying he like the greatest coaches, but he is one of the greats that if you're going by championships, yeah. But was he an X and O's guy? No, not so much. But he was a chemistry guy. He made the team believe they can win. You know, chemistry coaches, they talk a little X and O's, but they talk about I think the personal shit and they balance it out with the game. That's how it was. But Pop is a hybrid of that. Popovich, but he does XO and he's like a little bit of a chemistry over time when they start winning more championships. You start seeing more. But that goes to show you the coaches that were so great then. You don't have them now. Everybody just want to go one way with a 3-pointer, which is crazy to me. But that's how you got to look at it. But the NBA, it's in a decent place. But you know, the summer league is it's unbelievable. The draft is just crazy. I'm trying to think of this kid. I'm looking at this NBA draft. I've seen the draft on that day, and I saw it on both days in June. Let's see. It's been 59 picks in the NBA draft. I saw this year's draft. Yes, Cooper Flag went number one. I saw that on ESPN. Dylan Harper from Rutgers. Yeah. VJ Edgecombe is okay, but I don't trust him. I know he's good from Baylor. He's from the Bahamas. Yeah, he's a Bahamian. He's from the Bahamas. I don't know though, because if he doesn't do good regularly, he's a question mark. I don't know he's gonna be a star. He'll probably be a good role player. But the fourth pick by the Hornets, Con Knipple was a teammate of Cooper Flag. He's gonna probably be a good player for them. The Hornets may make some noise, but Ace Bailey's good. He's from Rutgers. His teammate is Dylan Harper. That'd be funny if but the Jazz picked him up was good. Danny Ainge. They got Ace Bailey, and they were teammates from Rutgers. They in the same draft. Then you got the Wizards, Trey Johnson. He's decent. I don't think he'll be like a superstar. He'll be a good all-star or two. Trey Johnson may be good because I think he's good. I'll say from one through, I'll say the first pick, I'll say the top two will be stars. I'll say from the fourth pick, probably the 10th pick will be great players and good players in between. Kaman Malowich, the Sudanese guy, they knew him when he was a kid. But Phoenix looking good. Now they get some pieces, get some veterans, it'll be all right. The Nets draft Igor Denham from BYU. He's like a foreigner, I think. I've seen that. And Jeremiah Fears is okay. He's not bad for the Pelicans. He's okay. The Trailblazers, they got Cedric Coward. Very interesting name. He's decent. And then you got the Bulls, Noah, the French kid. I've seen him in summer league. He's pretty good. He may be a star. See, sometimes they don't have to be the top 10. It could be top 15, like guys like him. Noah, and then you got Derek Queen. He was drafted by the Hawks, but traded to the Pelicans. Yeah, traded to the Pelicans. The Thunder drafted Thomas Sorber from Georgetown. Yeah, he went to a Jesuit school. So Thomas Sorber, he does a lot of the stuff that he's a center too, but he's a forward and a center. He's 6'9", 263 pounds, big dude. He does a lot of things that Hardenstein don't do. He rim protects, he score, and that interior. He's a live threat too. He grew up in New Jersey. He went to Georgetown, great school that he went to. He was good in the Big East. Yeah, this guy's a real deal. Yeah, Thunder had a good pickup. Thomas Sober end up being an all-star. You may never know. Clayton Jr. from Florida that won a championship. He went to Jazz. Him and Ace Bailey, they're gonna be something. They doing good in Summer League. That white kid they got in the Summer League, number 22. I forget his name. Flip Noski or something like that. He's good. So the draft in the first round was decent. There's some good players in the first round. Second round is good too. Man, there's so many. It's just going to show you. I was just talking about the draft in the NBA a little bit, because it's all season. Everybody going crazy. Yes, an hour. You know how that is. The European style. Yeah, that's that in season tournament, kind of like soccer, what they call football over there, and probably the play in. That was Adams' goal. That's about money in those markets. Trump's messing it up for everybody with those tariffs. Everybody's making fun about them tariffs. Well, you tell that the guy you voted for, the ones that voted for Trump, y'all crazy. He don't care nothing about y'all. They gonna try to lock his ass up, and Elon trying to get him up out of there. He trying to get him up out of there. They did. They did. They drafted well too. And I forgot about the Next. They got draft picks too, just like OKC. If they do something in the next couple of years, I think the Nets looking good. Brooklyn's gonna be a threat. Watch out. You saw what we saw in the small market teams. They ain't got nothing to do with Paul George. No, it's just the GMs and the mix of that. They took the talent they had and they showed you. Indiana and OKC setting the standard. All these teams can be stars. But this parity started with Toronto. So whoever dominates, dominates. I got OKC try to go back to back if they do great this year. I like that team, but if they get 70 wins, man, that's tough to stop, man. Only team that can match them is probably Denver and Houston in the West. And then you got Minnesota's like your fourth best team, then San Antonio, then the rest is just toss up. Clippers is good. But the Warriors, I forgot to talk about the damn Warriors, the original Warriors, right? The Warriors is just me, Steph Curry, when he got injured, we gotta see how he does. They're through as a franchise. Like they're great. Wow, Steph, this is gonna be tough. The Warriors, right? If the Warriors get Al Horford, that's gonna be a dangerous team. But man, it's gonna be interesting. But Steph's got to be healthy though. That with Jimmy Butler, man. Just looking at these teams. This team's been around since inception. Since the BA or NBA, they were 1946. The original teams, just like the Knicks, the Warriors, 1962. In Philadelphia, they left and went to San Francisco, lasted in 71. Then they changed the name to Golden State. That's in Oakland. Chase Center. They had the Oracle for years. Location San Francisco now. They won their first title in San Francisco in 2022. They broke that curse. 12 division titles, 7 conference titles. Just looking at their career stats. Seven championships. They got seven championships. They won one in 47, 56, 75. They have seven championships as a franchise. Where's the two dominant? It is what it is, man. It is what it is. All right, y'all. Let me get back to what I need to do. Shouts out to everybody. Shouts out to Wacky. Shalom to you. Appreciate you coming through. Alonzo, APTV, Degenerate. Appreciate everybody coming through. Yeah, so with that, I just want to talk about, a little NBA offseason. And Khalil, excuse me. And Khalil too. Shouts out to everybody, the brothers that came through. Yeah, just a little off-season talk, a little stuff. Nothing going on there. That's just a little drama and relationships and a little bit of politics there and there. I'm not talking about it as much. I'll talk about it not this next week, but the Wednesday after next, talk about what's really going on. This offseason is crazy because a lot of sports I've been watching, keeping up with it and just keep my mind focused on things that needs to task again. But there's a lot going on. But shouts out to everybody. So until next time, shalom to people of Israel, unto the Gentiles. Until next time, I'm signing off.